What does the next 5 to 10 years look like? Where does Magnate stand in the mix? And it's interesting, he quoted Henry Ford. He's like, are you building a faster horse or are you building a car? I thought it was an interesting question.
I don't have this vision of having thousands of people working in the agency doing little micro tasks. I envisage like having like an assassin team, a smaller team, right? Hard to quantify. Doing really good work with clients that are buying more regularly from you. So like focusing on them a bit more. Like the longevity aspect is where I'm investing. Most agencies have that life cycle of we're doing agency service driven work. Then once we build up enough of a portfolio, momentum and skills and everything, we then invest into our own product. So I'm currently in the dreaming phase of planning and executing on something that's coming next year called Grafton Labs.
Welcome back to episode 6 of Built from Scratch.
With yours truly, Erik and Daragh.
Eric, do you want to give your introduction before we forget?
Yeah, my introduction is the guy that's nearly made it to 20 podcasts, because how many podcasts fail?
It's over 90%.
Over 90%. So I've podcast number 6, so we're going very consistent, more consistent with the gym this year than recording podcasts, you know. So, or the other way around, actually. The other way around. My name is Erik. I'm 24 years old. I own a company called Grafton Digital, where we provide companies with digital transformation solutions, with website expertise and software development also. And then I'm involved in a company called Olive for Education, where we're transforming the landscape of education across Ireland for both learners and teachers. So that's me.
Very cool. I'm Daragh. I'm 23 years old. I co-founded Grafton Digital with Erik, and Erik bought me out earlier on this year. We've also got Sky Park, which is revolutionizing parking for companies in Galway City with tech. And then my main company is Magnate, and we're revolutionizing messaging for people with high volumes of messaging, and centralizing it all into one place and prioritizing it, like giving them a new lease on life.
Man, we're doing a lot of revolutionizing.
Well, here
we're just trying, right?
Just trying. Magnate and Sky Park, to be fair, are two coming into the market.
They're cool.
We definitely come in with fresh offerings. So, yeah, how's your week been? It's only Wednesday, but
yeah, it's only Wednesday. We're recording a little bit earlier. My week's been okay. I think by the time people are listening to this podcast, probably north of the end of December. So we're just like the first week of December. It's been busy, but look, it's Christmas, so just trying to get things tidied up. That's my main job at the moment, just to make sure we get tidied up and we start off January really strong, you know.
Yeah, I think this will probably get released either Christmas week or the week between Christmas Day and New Year's.
Happy Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas.
Yeah, happy Christmas to you. What did you get me for Christmas?
I've put lots of thought into it. It's a surprise.
You're just going to ask your girlfriend to buy me something, and then you're going to be like, this is very thoughtful. Yeah?
No, absolutely not. No, it's going to be customized to you. I bought you some great gifts. I bought you a Porsche.
You did buy me a Porsche, but I don't fit into it. That's the problem.
It's a toy model Porsche.
It's a toy model Porsche that sits in my desk still looking at me.
That was very thoughtful.
It was very thoughtful, to be fair.
Yeah, so I'll be in Spain with my family, and I don't know where you're heading off to, but
I'm going to Miami for Christmas and New Year's, so we're going to have a little bit of fun and sun over there.
We're going to backlog episodes to make sure we're able to...
Yeah, or we just do like a remote recording.
I don't know if I want to be talking to you when you're in Miami.
I'll be very nice.
Yeah.
Very humble.
But yeah, no, my week has been good. I pitched my new Frontiers Phase 2 on Monday in Dublin, so I'll find out the outcome of that next week, which I thought went very well, so I'm optimistic about that. And then I'm pitching in the Portershed in Galway City at the end for the NDRC Pre-Accelerator on Friday. So that'll be really good. I think it'll be a good opportunity to really show the progress over the last 2-3 months of Magnate. And I'm excited to really kind of be the unveiling of like, okay, here's our progress to date and here's our big plans coming sprinting into the new year.
Tell me this, I forgot to ask you, if anybody's listening, thinking about going into these accelerators or, you know, pitching for this next year, because I know they're kind of in phases, aren't they? So like every couple of months they actually appear and you have to do like a phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3.
Yeah, it depends on the screen, but yes, there's usually a couple of layers.
With just pitching there, obviously there was a versatile, like load of people from different backgrounds there listening to Magnate as a pitch, probably tech people, probably like educators from universities.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably, what advice would you give for anybody about to pitch, you know, next year, their startup idea for some funding?
Yeah, like I suppose the two main things to focus on, I really think, is for me anyways, was how valid is your pain point and how much do you understand about it? And then how much evidence can you get to back it up that people actually want that solution? And like really that was the thing I really focused in on. And I think my presentation was very focused on that. So they were the two things that I'd made a lot of progress in. So spoken to way more customers, and I suppose I'd really refined the story about why Magnate started, and that seemed to really hit about like I was the agency owner that spent my evening trying to catch up on messaging if I spent all my days in meetings. Yeah. And then here's a load of other companies that are successful in their domains proving that I'm correct and that, that they actually want the solution. Because even one of the Enterprise Ireland guys acknowledged, he said, "You've made some really good progress since you last spoke to us." I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I plan on coming back to you early in the new year with even more traction than I had previously. Yeah. So again, the whole piece is like how they just want to see, you're on a current trajectory, and then they want to see, okay, Ireland a little more conservative, so like they want to see you with a good bit of trajectory, and then they'll buy in and back you. And I think once you're in the system, they're absolutely amazing to deal with. Apparently, talking to the people that are in the Enterprise Ireland NDRC sphere, but
everyone speaks very, very, very highly of the whole program.
Yeah, both. Yeah.
And tell me this: how did that slide do, where you had all the mobile apps on one screen and then like the whole before and after?
Really hit.
Did it hit?
Yeah, it did. It really hit.
Because that was like a good one.
Yeah, no,
that was a really good one.
I knew as soon as I created it, I was like, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. It did well in the room, and then we put it on socials, and it did really well as well. It really popped because, like, it's interesting because people don't complain about their messaging because it's something that people just taken inevitable. It's people just taking it for granted that that's the way it is. You know, your iMessage, your WhatsApp, your Telegram, your emails, your WhatsApps, your Slack, your Teams. People just take it for granted that that's the way it has to be. And when I speak to my demographic, which is the people in the highest amount of messaging, you see the whites of their eye, like I talked about last week. So I love when you see that. And one of the guy from Enterprise Ireland who's on the panel, he really got it. Yeah. And he actually asked a really interesting question. He goes, okay, I'm a government employee, but I really have this pain point. I don't think Enterprise Ireland will probably let you plug into our system because you need to allow it. And I said, probably not right now. But I don't think it's a matter of if they will ever let you. It's when. And I want to be the software knocking on the door that as soon as they allow AI software to come in, that we're the company that will be able to help their team become even more efficient. And I think you like that answer, and it's the truth. It's like I really think we're still at a very early curve, and I want to be the people revolutionizing messaging and task management for people early days. So anyways, so that was good. Awesome. So the pitch went really well. I was really happy with it. But again, I've spent 6+ months working on it. So, it's just like a check-in point of like, where are you at now, and does it make sense to the panelists? Yeah, and I think that feeds into your first point you wanted to share on today's pod. Yeah. You know, about building the future and making sure you know what the future looks like, right? It's interesting. I was talking to an investor the day after the pitch, and a lot of the time it's very much like, what was the pain point that inspired you to get here? And then what have you built to solve the problem now? But it's interesting, he was very much future focused. He was like, what does the next 5 to 10 years look like? Where does Magnate stand in the mix? And it's interesting, he quoted Henry Ford. He's like, are you building a faster horse or are you building a car? And he's like, where are you thinking about it? You know, I thought it was an interesting question. Like, I suppose where we're at currently, and again, this is not just a plug Magnate the entire time, but where we're at currently is I want this to be the fastest onboarding process to add value as fast as possible to keep people back in control. But the long-term vision for this is I want to be able to introduce automations, remove any repetitive tasks, and have this as kind of, and again, as repetitive as this is, an AI assistant that can really remove a lot of the administrative tasks across the board, and that will be down the line. But what I found is, and the point that I was talking about, and I'll definitely hear from you as well, because obviously the agency landscape is changing a lot at the moment as well, is customers are really focused on pain point today. Like, you know, any waitlist users, any trial users are like, pain point today, it solves it. Okay, we're cool, we're interested. Yeah. Where the investors and shareholders, or potential shareholders, unsurprisingly are saying, okay, that's all well and good for today, but where is this going in 5 to 10 years time? Like, how is Magnate going to be on the cutting edge of messaging and task management for the future and be competitive? And I suppose I spent a long time thinking about it. I'm like, okay, in 10 years time, where do people want to be? And I suppose like the couple insights, like I've looked at market trends, like the increase in virtual assistants, both, you know, online and remote, like humans, has been a huge upward trend. And if you look at that, what I've seen is that a lot of people are using them for messaging management, task management, pulling out to-do lists, doing all repetitive tasks, which I'd like to eliminate with Magnate. But what I've also kind of looked at is like, okay, what's been big disruptions in the messaging space to date, and how can we build on top of that and build for the future? So I think personally that my punt for the next 10 years is that people will be focused on real deep work. I think AI is going to have a huge place in the workplace. So I think it's going to do a lot of the repetitive, a lot of administrative tasks. I think people will really focus on deep work, real focused work, not this like inbox hopping management. So I suppose, how does Magnate enable people to really focus on deep work, really make huge strides in their work, and then the AI takes away a lot of the administrative tasks.
100%.
But I suppose the question for you then, inside of this and kind of focusing and building for the future, is what way are you punting Grafton over the next 5 to 10 years, and what way are you looking at that? Because I think with AI introducing, I think the agency landscape is going to change, more and more over time.
100%. And actually a point to discuss a little bit later as well is just, I thought about it, I think would be very relevant, is like, I got asked this week of like, Erik, how do you build a plan as a business over the next 5-10 years? Like, how do you even envision that? Or how, like every year everything changes so fast, how do you actually do it? So like, let's actually touch on that.
Yeah.
But the way I look at the agency space is, I think when we started Grafton doing social media, content marketing and web design, we were taking existing tools and making the most out of these tools for businesses. And we're doing a lot of hand holding for our customers and doing a lot of we've done very good service in the space on automating and doing everything on their behalf. I think the agency space has shifted towards, you've got to be an expert in your field, providing constant value to your client. And actually this week I've had one of Ireland's largest retailers in fashion come into the office today and spend quite a few hours, I think actually about 45 minutes with Eugene, our CTO, and they really want to invest in AI in the next few months / year. And they set up the whiteboard and they started doing everything that they're currently doing manually. And the client just goes to Eugene, actually, Eugene, can you come into our office right now? Because like, we're just kind of thinking, our wheels are kind of churning in our heads, and will you come in and really have a look at what we're doing, and let's accelerate this.
Amazing.
And as I was arriving to the office, I seen Eugene following the client in the car. Called the client. I was like, "Did you hire him? Did you like take him out in the office?" He's like, "Yeah, it only took me 45 minutes." I was like, "Great, gonna look for a new CTO." But like, yeah, in terms of where I see the space is you gotta really see, how do you specialize in these areas and what value can you bring to your clients? And I think I'm looking at more high leverage situations where we can come into an organization and spend quite a few years, or like just a longer period working with them. And that whole digital transformations word comes very effective as the years go on in the agency space, rather than doing a quick website, which AI can kind of do now, right? We're trying to think around, okay, what way are you currently doing your accounts? Okay, there's input here, input there, a lot of data, CSV files floating around here. How do we synchronize and automate this and create, better reporting, better efficiency, task management, and that's what I'm trying to really, put towards to all our clients that are coming on board now. I'm trying to change and have a smaller team, but a more niche team for this solution. And like in the last podcast, I kind of talked about like the plan of, I don't have this vision of having like thousands of people working in the agency, doing little micro tasks. I envisage like having like an assassin team, a smaller team, right? Hard to quantify, but having a smaller team, but doing really good work with clients that are buying more regularly from you. So like focusing on them a bit more than clients that are just very transactional and just looking for small help. So it's like, that's like the longevity aspect is where I'm investing. But I think most agencies have that life cycle of, we're doing agency service driven work. Then once we build up enough of a portfolio, momentum and skills and everything, we then invest into our own product. So I'm currently in the dreaming phase of planning and executing on something that's coming next year called Grafton Labs. And Grafton Labs, I'll be creating products like software solutions for solving smaller, more repetitive problems for our clients, both in the education space, hospitality, wherever the Grafton digital clients lie. So like that's where I see the space. AI is disrupting it very, very much, like Claude and the whole GBTs and OpenAI, etc. Like there's so much out there, and I just feel like it's a jungle. It's just a new jungle to go in and explore. So I'm trying to just invest in the team learning as well, which is quite a resource for a business to both learn and continue providing this service, because our job is to be the best in our fields, and that's again just doubling down on that. That's my vision of the agency world for the next while. Is I think will be very relevant to provide that expertise continuously, handhold and do the transformation, because companies don't have the time internally or the expertise, and that's why they come to the likes of Grafton to get that but I want to go on a more regular long-term basis, because just the impact has been much greater.
Yeah, and I think we're both touching on very similar points, because like what Grafton's leading into is the human contact, the human experience on like, hey, we'll bring you down this we'll bring you towards this technology, bring in this innovation to your company, and we're going to be the guys holding your hand and bringing you there, because that's a huge transition for a company. And with Magnate, I suppose, like that's one thing I have in my pitch deck about, like Magnate will reduce down administrative tasks so people can managers can actually focus on the relationships with their team, because currently when you're bombarded with messaging, obviously you don't have the time to actually build relationships with your team, which is one of the big, like the relationship with your manager, like it's something like 70% of people's satisfaction is based on their relationship with their manager, and then obviously your satisfaction and your ability to succeed in your role. But I think the human-to-human contact over the next 10 years is something that AI can't take out. I think it's one thing with Grafton you're really leaning into is that the PMs have a long-term relationship with the client.
That's right.
And they're bringing them on that journey versus them going online. Obviously, some guy, some 16-year-old can build an AI website and sell them for 50 quid and it looks great. But someone can't handhold, be on site, be there with them, walk them through that technology journey, digitalization journey, and bring them there. AI can't do that in the next at least 5 to 10 years unless the Tesla robots.
Those robots come out on the streets. I don't know. Like even then, I think people are very much like still like we still want someone to help with that. But look, it's just one of those spaces you got to keep watching, and like that's why you have to always be on edge and uncomfortable in business to make sure you survive. It's all about surviving and then thriving, but it's just like it's the whole industrialization is what's happening to business now with AI. Like the big thing I do like acknowledge the difficulty is the cost. Because this technology is so new. Like Copilot, for example, is quite expensive right now, right? And it provides a lot of value or whatever. But just businesses can't just easily adapt that internally just yet, and they have to wait until it becomes a little bit more available, a little bit more thought out, and then it becomes more affordable. But like most of the customers I'm speaking with at the moment, it's all in the forefront. The biggest challenge is budget and time dedication to this project. But they all admit that if they do not invest with AI and any sort of digital implementation to their business, they will be in like a dinosaur situation where one strike and they're out, right? So it's just a huge disruption across the globe.
It's amazing that the clients are investing early, because a lot of companies got killed during COVID via not investing in technology early. And I think COVID is good learning for a lot of businesses that you need to invest early in tech to make sure that you're robust, because if you are doing things like you've always done them, people will outcompete you, and they'll outwork you, and they'll outthink you, and you can kill you in business. So you need to stay on your toes. So So what's your next point?
My point, my first point today's podcast, probably more like a little bit of a reflection point and then a prediction point. So like I think we both get asked this very regularly, is like whole about scaling a business, managing revenue, and all these numbers get thrown around, right? And I just was like reflecting a little bit on like, how did we get to, for example, our first 100,000, right, in revenue? And the answer I came down to, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well, is I think our first 100,000 was all about engaging friends, family, locality, anybody that's ready to back you. and your skills and your ambitions. So it's just you. They're investing in. Doesn't matter if you think that you're, creating a new electric car or whatever, right? So, but there's like, oh, let me just buy from this person. Let me, contract them in. I think that's your first 100,000. It's just completely relies on your skills. Your first million, I think, is just pure hard work and dedication on trying to figure out the whole what works, what doesn't work, and doing like a couple of years, right, until you reach your first million in revenue of like what am I going to be focusing in on, right, and for my next 10 to 15 to 30 million, right, and that's kind of like my little reflection point of like, I think again, first 100,000 is all hard work, family, friends, referrals, your skills. Your first million is hard work, building out, your systems, checking out what distribution system works. Are you cold calling? Are you emailing? Are you building partnerships? I think the next like 1 to 10 million road then is all about building on top of that distribution system, right? Getting your team scaled and skilled up to the sufficient manner and creating these department leads where they're pushing, both innovation and progress in towards your company to reach your next milestone. So it becomes a little bit more of a math strategy equation from 1 to 10 million, I think, but below that it's all about just hard work and figuring it out.
Yeah, like I was just reflecting on our first couple of grand we ever made with Grafton, and it was all network. It was going to people and going, hey, we'll do a video for €400, or our first website for €200, and that was all network. Well, actually, our first website ever came through Facebook advertising.
Indeed.
Rob Heaney with the Grinds Academy and now Tribal Property. I remember I was in after school study. In school, studying for my leaving cert or my end of high school exams, and I saw the phone line. My phone started ringing, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is Grafton."
Rob called. He was an old school customer. He called.
So I had to ask the teacher, could I step out of the room for after school study? And I went out the back of the school and I took the phone call.
I so forgot that.
And I was like, hello, and he's like, hey, like what's the example of websites?
It was like your 086 number or something actually on there.
There
we
was
didn't have no company line.
We couldn't afford a company line. But I remember taking the call and being like, oh my god, it's amazing, those two Facebook advertising. I must actually ask him what exactly he saw or who shared it, but I never
he reached out to us on Messenger. We got a call, because then you text me the next day, Erik, we got to call this guy, we're looking for a website. And then we built him the website and got a video package and everything. Rick, extremely good guy, backing us from the start.
Really early days,
and we still keep in touch with him. We were neighbours with him at the last office. So
but again, definitely, and again, Rob's an exception there, but it was all our own network, 1 to 100,000 euros. And I'll actually pop up, we did a video at the time when we hit it, I'll pop up the thumbnail of the two kids, with
the black wall, the first 100k, and Shane edited like a glowing logo in the background.
Exactly, we did a full photo shoot. Because that was so crazy. The 100k to a million, it definitely, I think there's a couple of factors. I think everything you said is definitely correct. I don't think also there's an element of brand reputation building over time and network paying off, I suppose.
The domino effect.
Yeah, because I suppose one thing, and I think you're in particular very good at this, is really investing in relationships, blindly investing in relationships on the punt that something may good come out of it in the future, which actually just translates to you're nice to a lot of people and then maybe some business might come out of it, and if it doesn't, no worries, you had a fun time along the journey. And I think you're excellent at that. I think that's one of the reasons why you excel in the service-based business. But that, and then kind of figuring out where the real value add, because obviously when we had a few key hires about 3.5 years ago, their skill sets, we really built on top of them, and okay, these are industry experts. And I think Grafton really, you and I over time refined of what does that sound like? Is it web and app company? Is it digitalization?
Just to kind of get a pitch together.
Years,
I remember, do you even remember in Longford we pitched to Gareth Flower's dad what we were doing? And he was William was just looking at us and he was like, so Gareth, what do these lads do? And they were talking to me for a good 15 minutes about what they do, and they're doing this and doing that, and we just tried to list all our things. And I just remember Garrett just goes, "As you need to refine your pitch. You got to have your one-liner, your one pickup
your elevator
line.
pitch,
your
yeah.
elevator pitch, right?" And I just remember William just looking at us like we had 10 heads of like, I don't know what these guys are doing, some sort of web stuff. That's at least he took that away, right?
I remember because you and William were across the yard, and me and Gareth were standing beside each other. And I remember looking at the two of you, and you were like really passionately telling about what you did, and him just like looking off into space.
You were just grilling a burger with Garrett, and I was just there pitching to
I may have been laughing as well. Like, to see there was just nothing out there. But and again, that was part of the learning curve of like, how do we explain what we do in a manner that really resonates and people understand it really quickly? But I suppose there was an element of us figuring out like where's the strongest value add, and when we kind of stumbled upon digitalization, and we went, okay, we can charge a retainer. A team really enjoy working on it, and the clients get great results. Okay, winner. Okay, let's double down on this, and then that's been the last 2-3 years.
100%. And just add to your point a little bit, that's why a lot of agencies burn out and agency owners burn out, is because they cannot achieve longevity with their business. And what happens is they're picking up a lot of small business, jumping from client to client, just chasing their tail all the time. Forgetting to invoice, doing all that kind of stuff, and it's like you got to like stop, and realize where you want to focus. How do you create a long relationship? How do you get into longer term contracting, right? Because that's where you burn out big time.
I was even talking to a guy at an agency, a web development agency in 2006, and he was saying the exact same issues. Was like, deposit payment, then progress payment.
Everyone's just chasing their tail, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
And then like you get halfway through a project and you go, oh no, this money's going to run out, and you go find another project. Whereas when it's retainer based, longevity,
at least you have some projection, run rate business coming in.
So I definitely think really refining, just being in the market for many years, and then really refining where the really strong valuators for Grafton that really went from the 100K to $1 million, and obviously going on from there. And again, I've never done 5 to 10 million, so I don't know what that looks like, but I'd definitely be curious as to what that looks like. But it definitely was. It's different skills along the way, and obviously also like, there was an element of we had no real skills at the start either. We had some basic skills, but it was a lot of learning on the job. And it was interesting. I was talking to one of my developers with Magnate, and he's been a developer for a couple of years, and he's on the desktop team. And he said to me, when we brought him on, he didn't know any React. He learned it in the first couple of weeks, and now he's like, and he was like, I believe in this opportunity. I think I back these guys. I want to get involved, and he upskilled really quickly, which I really appreciated. He only told me this recently, and but now he's like one of our best performers in the desktop team. He's taken leadership, taken ownership. He's really running with things, and I'm like, wow, like I have a lot of respect for that, because in a lot of ways, us early days and still to today is we're still like learning on the job and just trying
to till you make it. It's totally okay.
And again, it was just just that story stuck with me. But 1 to 100 to 1 million, and then hopefully over time in this podcast we can document what the 5, 10 million plus
the next millions.
But no, that's a really good one. Does your next point flow in better, or do you want me to hop over to mine?
Well, look, probably my point there was probably a combination of what I just wanted to kind of get across. I did want to just highlight, like a lot of people do ask me, like, Erik, is there like a huge sales team behind you, what you do, and like the short answer is no. There's no this huge commercial team behind me. I think as a CEO,
you are the sales team.
I am the sales team, majorly, but I think it's like as a CEO you got to wear multiple hats at the one time, but like I think nobody can sell better than the business owner themselves. So if you have the skills and the privilege to step out of running your business and have the skills of actually selling like no one else is going to beat you on sales. And so many businesses like are now running at much smaller team sizes, etc. I think Elon Musk with the whole X transformation has really highlighted like how to optimize yourself and where to invest your time and skills.
Can we talk about, did you see the clip recently about what he did with every Twitter staff member?
No.
This is amazing, and you can keep going because you're about to make a very great point, but I saw this during the week and this is insane. When he first came onto Twitter, he spent 18 hours a day. Every staff member had a 5-minute block with them. they had to tell him what they were working on, and he justified whether they keep their job or not.
So you had like a 5-minute pitch to Elon Musk. It's like,
about what are you
working on? I'm on this Anna every day.
Yeah, and they're like, he's like, you have to basically pitch to keep your job.
Wow.
And he did it for 18 hours a day, every day, till he got through every staff member.
Wow.
Like,
that's absolutely crazy.
I heard that and I went,
but Elon Musk is just like such like a traditional ballsy entrepreneur, right? And like you'll see many billionaires would have that confidence, that aura when they step in a room. Like Musk really has, I think mastered the whole I don't give a toss, right? And it's just like, it's just like watching it from this side. You're like, oh my God, you're very ballsy. Like you just walking that around. And now it's so funny seeing him, Donald Trump, and all the guys just like ganging, walking around. It's like Dana White appears there every now and then. It's just like such a boys' club going on.
They're the new influencers. I watched a video earlier talking about like a CEOs becoming more like online influencers, because that's how people feel towards their brands. Like Mark Zuckerberg went from a lizard person that people
was
don't
he a
think
real
is
human
to like now he shows up to UFC events, he surfs, and he's
surfing, he has
he does MMA, he wants to fight Elon Musk in a cage in Rome,
it's becoming, this is like the whole thing of like being a rock star or being a business owner / mixing the two sometimes. So really it's an interesting one. Like I was just gonna conclude my point kind of saying like my kind of successful metric, my successful like path to sales was partnerships. So as you highlighted, like I love talking to people. I'll have multiple coffees and teas every day of the week with both current clients, people that I'm just like enjoy talking to, etc. So I like to grow my network and very much invest in my network. I do like. For me, it has been the whole network is your net worth has actually come to fruition, and I've got 2 great guys in the US who are working really hard in sales and spreading the Grafton brand, but ultimately I think you've got to be such a good networker, and partnerships have really been my distribution channel of success. And that's it's just so much easier that business comes towards you. You can refer business on to other people, and just building out those be service of someone doing service. That's just worked for me really well.
Well, the other thing about partnerships, and I touched on it last week, is it's a free salesperson. Because
it is. But the whole the exchanging of business, like I was actually today, just a couple of hours ago, I've signed a partnership with a really, really big company. And when you sign a partnership, it's like I could get business, I mightn't get business, or I will get business. This partnership we sat down, and the person and manager just had like, Erik, this is the first client, second client, third client. I was just sitting down and was like, oh my God, I've never had a partner prepare business coming into me. Wow. And she was like, when can you start? Have you the skill set on your team? Okay, can you hire? Like, it was just so proactive because they got acquired recently, and the company that acquired them doesn't want to keep a lot of business that is not serving to their goal of they're going into the whole cloud infrastructure provision, and they're like, here's all this business, can you take over? And I'm like, yes. I never say no to any kind of business as long as I have the skill set. If not, I'll invent a skill set or hire in or justify bringing it on. So I always try to make something work, especially for partners, because they love someone else like going to war for them.
100%. And I think it was kind of, I don't know whether you put any thought into it, but I feel like it was kind of an accident that over the years we started to build partnerships. And it was all very organic.
Totally.
It was like, we're in a similar sort of line of business. Let's meet for a coffee. And, here, if anything comes out your way, I think one of our first ones was with a large website development company that didn't take anything under really 80 grand or 100 grand.
Yeah, the guys that tried to buy us out.
Yeah.
That's how we met them, is they knocked on our door in year 2 or 3 of our business. And I was like to Daragh, look, we got a letter. And we're like, we knew we weren't going to sell, but we're really, really curious.
Very
on the process.
Curious.
That was a really good exercise we've probably done, and we should probably talk about what it taught us about a business for next episode.
100%.
But they tried to buy us, and we were like, let's tell the team that just in case you hear, we're not selling, but we're just going through this process to see where we can strengthen up our business. And it was like a couple of days, we've done like profit and loss and over and everything like that. And then remember we said no. Remember the no email we sent off, and it was like we were gonna get like no money at all for our business. We just weren't worth too much money, and then we were like, can we become partners? Because the reason you wanted to buy us is to do that service, and they're like, hell yeah. And like you've spoken to the commercial
CCO,
commercial head there recently, and it's we've actually had such a good relationship. Even the CEO is super helpful. Like every now I try to talk to him a couple of times a year, pick up the phone, and like, hey, how's it going? How's business? Anything you want to kind of build that out. But it's just been, that was like the first time we were like, oh, we have a partner, and then they've referred us like 3 clients.
Really good. And they're also going to be one of Magnate first clients as well. Because,
there you go.
Which is...
They're an agency.
Yeah. No, it's just strength of relationships.
Yeah.
And no, I remember them referring the first couple of websites and us being like mind blown that like, well, they don't want this the thousands of euros.
So much easier, not just sitting down, presenting, justifying. Like
we leverage the brand as well.
Yeah, like, and I personally never like cold a lot or done quite a quantity of cold emails or anything like this. It was always you just pick up business from referrals and word of mouth, and that was something we just like. Yeah, it was definitely accidental or more of like an instinct of like this works in the back of your head, and you just kind of chase it.
Yeah, 100%. And that relationship then led to more relationships, and now I don't know how many partnerships you got now or people referring business, but it's a pretty big network of people, and like. That's not just from, going for coffees and buddying up people. It's also following through and doing good quality work, because every time you get your first referral...
100%.
Every time you get your first referral, it's a test. It shouldn't be, hey, we've won pop bottles. There's
no like this like blood contract of like they will have to stay with you. Is like the minute you don't do the work you promised, or you've breached SLAs or whatever you've done or not done, it's going to come back to you. So like... It's all great sitting saying, I've got so much business, but you got to deliver and, like walk the walk and talk the talk.
I know even internally with us, not that we weren't attentive to our own clients, we were always like, anytime we got work in the door, we'd always be very attentive. But I know in particular when there's a partner client that referred us in.
It was like just that more of like, oh my God, I cannot even afford to let down not replying straight away or not taking this call.
100%.
So there was just that like internal urgency of like, I need to make sure that like I provide like exactly the service I spoke to them about. And like you still do it. Like I could have a client that we've onboarded in 2018 call me, and I will treat that client exactly the same way today, because they've been a paying customer and first customer. It doesn't change. This is where most businesses do actually fall down.
100%.
That's definitely a story to tell a little bit on why we've gone so much into the whole service is first mindset, if we can talk about it next year. But it's just, I still take a call, no problem. I'm like, to the local veg distribution business, to florists, to whoever. I show up and say, hey, how are you doing? We'll get this sorted, or no problem. And that's one thing that you ask any customer of ours, current or previous. Yeah. It's like one thing they'll say is like, oh, they were like stupidly attentive and really, really helpful and really, really customer focused centric.
Yeah, no, and it was interesting. And again, this is not to blow our own trumpets here, but like even early days, we're almost like too attentive and too much a yes man early days.
Oh, there's no like looking like profit margins and everything in service. It's just you're just looking to see where your time is going, right? Yeah. And it's like looking to see where you cannot measure profit and client happiness, because like if a client's happy, they will refer you and try to make it up. And again, that's one of the things in an agency business. It's just the margin game is very subjective. You might have a very strong gross margin, but when it comes down to how much time, thought, and effort you put into a client, your net margin becomes, extremely small. So you got to really know how to navigate that and make the best of it while not compromising on quality in the long run.
100%. I'm going to move on to my second point, and I think you liked this when I brought it up. I title this "Sit in the Cringe."
Done it many of times, but the way you framed it, that sit in the cringe, I really do like it.
Yeah. So even today, so myself, Aaron, and one of our developers, Vardan, we sat behind a user, a real project manager, and we said, "Sign up to Magnate. and onboard yourself, right?
Yeah.
And we sat there for the 10 or 15 minutes, and like
you got this cringe to go out, and you're like, your chest is like,
you get tight, and you're like, oh no, that didn't work, or oh, that's really slow to load, or you know, they clicked in the wrong place. Yeah, there actually was a typo there. And he called it out as well. But I think it was a really good learning experience for the team to actually see, because obviously when you're in the weeds and you're building a product, it's next thing. But I was like, I really wanted the guys to
stop and look, watch.
Like, because this is what new customers see. So you see this, but what is that experience going to look like? That's super important. First impression is really important, because the current trial pool are people either like in my network or friends of friends, and people are real like super users and really want to use it. But like, there will be a stranger that comes on board, and every single click,
don't know what this means and where you're going next. It's like, but like also like, to be fair, like when you're looking at something for too long without like a helicopter perspective, you're like, you become super complacent, and you're like, oh, this is perfect, looks great or whatever, and then someone's trying to actually use it and it's not actually user friendly. Then that's the difference between the whole UI and UX. You know, in principle. But I really liked it, because obviously even with websites going to go lives or anything, you're like sweating because like, oh my god, this form is not firing, or this, you know, integration is not working, and it was working on stage, and then some developer tells you like, well, it's different between going live to stage. I'm like, I don't care, I'm here burning in front of a client, like, you got to get this sorted, and where's the urgency here, you know?
Sure, whatever integration wasn't working for you. You walked over.
I was actually I was just sitting there, I was like, Daragh, look, not working, and Darragh's like, will you send me a video?
Please. But and again, in a demo, it's classic, and it's a rite of passage. Things will go wrong
always.
And that's inevitable, and that's why I think it's one of the upsides of our demographic that I've largely been working with software development companies like project managers to date, so they get it. You know, it's not like someone who's in consultancy or finance. They're like, oh my god, this doesn't work. This is terrible. It's like they kind of laugh and they go, I get it. Things go wrong, and here's actually some constructive feedback.
I was actually in a presentation there not too long ago, and the button wasn't working, what I was trying to demonstrate. I was like, just imagine this is going this way, and the client just burst out laughing. I was like, yeah, look, it's not working, and today I was like, we'll get it fixed after this, I promise. But I was like, everything else is kind of working, so you got to know how to manage these situations. And usually people can laugh it off, and you know, as long as it's not too serious, and they can show that, okay, like 90% of what you've done is actually like fully functional and thought out. So there's always a bit of 10% human error there.
Totally. And I think like, and even though the experience, there definitely was a few cringe moments, there was actually some real good takeaways of like, oh, let's actually move that button up there because it's more intuitive for someone to go there. Or hey, actually let's have like not just an X out of a box, let's have like so let's say one of the integrations, there's just an X out of a box which is not very clear, but if you have like a complete integration, click, and then it goes away, like small things, but like when you have a product at mass and people using it, it needs to be stupid proof. It needs to be super simplistic. So we got some really good learnings out of it. And even walking away, like our developer Vardan, he was like pumped about it. He was like, okay, that
finally
guy,
feedback from somebody,
and he also likes it. He's like, I need the value. This like solves my pain point. And he could, because I do a lot of customer talking, but the product team largely live in a bubble of I feed them the information from the outside.
They're seeing code every day though, and like a Figma file, and they're just got to keep sprinting. So they don't actually see it in action, and you got to change that. That design is going to like evolve over time.
Totally, and it will be completely different in 12 months' time. But I thought it was really interesting letting him see that, and then see the learnings and the takeaways and the feeling, and go, this is real, you know. This is
now we got to do this weekly where Verdun. So next week let's not have as much bugs.
I'm like, okay, we just did it with desktop there today. I'm like, mobile. I'm gonna find a PM and we're gonna do mobile.
Well, I showed you something. Today, so you gotta get that sorted.
And that's already been pinged into the feedback group chat. But no, overall it's good, and like the products is there where, you know, we can get some good big feedback. And the onboarding process is something that can get neglected when I onboard someone 2 months ago. So it's only good to keep adding to the list.
This is the time to just perfect it. Make sure the clay looks good after all the handling.
100%. So no, that was my thing, but it's just sitting the cringe, because I think, like, I even know in my own head, I was like, I just know there's gonna be problems here, but I'm gonna wheel a chair over, sit right behind it.
Probably the best thing you can do is just like 100%. Expose them to user feedback, and then when a real customer is actually coming in looking to buy like $1,000 worth of licenses, there's like, we don't have room now for the software not to work or the
100%.
onboarding to fail. So guys, like this is like a pre-practice before we're on stage, we're on where the show is going, and once the show is running, like got to start thinking about the future then and implementing that straight away.
It needs to be super robust. I'm like, guys, this needs to be like for launch in March/April. We're gonna do hard launch, go to market. I'm like, this needs to be bulletproof. So December 2024, no problem. Onboarding's a little clunky, no problem. Now February 2025. We're gonna have problems, you know? So a good learning experience. More uncomfortable, so definitely something I wanted to bring up because it's something you wouldn't feel like you really want to do, but I think it's hugely valuable.
Yeah, it's probably something. It's probably a bit taboo for founders to probably talk about, like those, like, oh, like I'm perfect, whatever. No one's perfect, dude. Like, it's you got to start. You know?
And I think that's a really good part of this podcast. And I think any of the feedback we've gotten in the first couple episodes is that. I think it's how candid we are and how like we're willing to be vulnerable here and go, hey, okay, we've had some wins, we had some successes, we talk about revenue stuff, and we've spent years trying to build that up. But also we're still learning and there's still mistakes being made.
Exactly.
And I think there's not many podcasts really doing good documentation of that and really transparently. And like I really enjoy talking about business and I enjoy documenting this and I enjoy chatting with you, and because obviously we're in two different spheres now.
Chatting with me?
Depends on the day.
Depends
on the day. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And apparently we've got some good chemistry as well,
I don't know.
Allegedly,
debatable, right?
Allegedly,
right.
But we actually have no listener voice clip this week.
I forgot about that.
We dropped the ball, so we did.
We will. We still haven't promoted it on our own socials or haven't done this was just all like let's just post, get consistent, figure out the concept and get like everything right. Like I'm very happy with the production. I think Martin is doing an amazing job.
He's killing it.
He's doing amazing. So I just kind of want, like you're the same, we just wanted to kind of get that up and going and make sure this is like bulletproof. And like now I think we have the routine, like now we can kind of think about when this episode goes live, I think we get a little bit more social about it, etc. So I think we're figuring it out and we're doing good at it.
Yeah, I definitely think over the next week or two we can definitely push it really hard in our own socials and really, like I've kind of been, I know yourself as well, pushing in some circles about, let people know about it.
I've only sent it to like 2 or 3 people so far just for a little bit of feedback. One of them is like, Gareth, Jeremy, just like, I'm like, guys, just like feedback, and like they actually like it.
Yeah, no, I got I sent out a couple of guys as well. I got 2 texts today, both listening to it. Good feedback. They like the format, and they like the kind of candid nature of us talking about business and kind of some of our learnings, because I think it's applicable to guys and women that our analytics would indicate men that are listening to us, but that either want to get into business or are in business, and like usually kind of under the age of 30 are kind of interested in listening. So again, please do start sending in voice notes. We want, audience interaction, because I definitely think that a piece at the end where...
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's cool answering questions that we mightn't think about, or, like it's nice to reflect and actually answer like a very specific question, or like someone might pitch their idea that they have if they're okay with it being on the internet or whatever. But like in general, I think it's a good... kind of medium for people just to like, here you go guys, what, like pick it apart or give me feedback, or how did you guys solve this problem, or how did you find this phase of business. So like we're totally open for that kind of discussion.
100%. And again, if you want to reach out to our socials, just let us know. Our email is builtfromscratchpod@gmail.com. So you figured that out.
I didn't know we had a Gmail.
But no, that was another good episode. I think there was some good points. We'll definitely, I know we said we maybe talk about our offer of buying graft in early days as well. So maybe we'll flag that next week's episode.
Maybe that's the next episode, actually. I'll take a note of that, and if you've enjoyed the podcast, make sure to like, subscribe and follow us, and let us know if you want us to discuss anything or address anything. So we're very excited to do so. And
even if you want some more insights, if anyone's interested in the business of building content, so obviously we're going heavy on clips and we're across platforms. We're going to be launching an Apple podcast this week. Wait to get the account approved. And we're on Spotify.
People are so strict when it comes to approving it.
Yeah, and they also need to pay. You have to pay for it and stuff. It's like $20 a year or whatever. But it's a process getting on Apple Podcast. But we will be live by the time this comes out on Apple Podcasts as well. But it's been really cool, even with the clips and stuff. So if you want some insights on that, I'm more than happy to cover that as well. So this is another episode of Built from Scratch.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Have a good evening.
Nice.
Bye. Day, morning. Bye.